C.S. Lewis once said, "Learn to act as if nothing bothers you." These words, simple yet profound, hold within them a powerful secret to achieving inner peace. Life in this world is full of challenges, stress, and overwhelming situations. But what if we could develop a mindset where nothing truly bothers us? This idea, presented by C.S. Lewis, calls us to explore the notion of emotional resilience and self-control. What if, instead of reacting to every situation or emotion, we could face life's storms with an unshaken inner calm? Now, the first step in this journey begins with understanding the core of our emotions. As human beings, emotions are deeply woven into the fabric of our existence. They shape our responses, our actions, and often determine the quality of our experiences. When we feel joy, we soar. When we feel sadness, we sink. Emotions like anger, fear, and frustration often have a magnetic pull, drawing us into states of distress that can cloud our judgment and lead to unnecessary suffering. C.S. Lewis, known for his profound insights into the human condition, understood that we are not merely victims of our emotions. In fact, he encouraged us to take a step back and see our emotions for what they truly are: passing states of mind. He suggested that rather than being overwhelmed by them, we could learn to control how we respond to these emotional fluctuations. By learning to act as if nothing bothers us, Lewis was advocating for the cultivation of a mindset that transcends emotional reactivity. This mindset, as Lewis proposed, is not about repressing or denying emotions. It's about not allowing them to dictate our actions or our state of being. So often in life, we find ourselves reacting to situations in ways that only escalate our suffering. When faced with adversity or conflict, we may feel anger rise within us, and that anger compels us to react hastily, often leading to regret. But what if, instead of reacting impulsively, we paused and reflected, allowing ourselves the space to respond with wisdom and clarity? The key to acting as if nothing bothers you is not about suppressing your feelings, but about finding inner strength through awareness. It's about recognizing that while you cannot always control the circumstances that come your way, you do have control over how you respond to them. Life is unpredictable, and there are always external factors that we cannot change. However, we are not helpless in the face of these factors. The power lies in our response. Imagine a situation where you are confronted with a stressful event, perhaps an argument with a loved one or a setback in your career. The natural reaction is often to feel defensive or upset. However, when you embody the principle of acting as if nothing bothers you, you step outside of that emotional reaction. You observe the situation calmly, without rushing to judgment or letting your emotions take the wheel. When we adopt this approach, we begin to notice something profound. The emotional turmoil that once felt like a heavy burden begins to lose its power over us. It's as if we become immune to the intensity of our initial emotional reactions. We can still feel the emotions, but we do not let them control us. This detachment from our emotions allows us to move through life with a sense of serenity, knowing that no matter what happens, we have the power to maintain our peace. Another important aspect of this mindset is the recognition that suffering is a part of life. In fact, much of what bothers us in life is rooted in our resistance to suffering. We often try to avoid discomfort at all costs, but in doing so, we create more stress and anxiety. Lewis, in his wisdom, understood that suffering is an inevitable part of the human experience. Rather than trying to escape it, he suggested that we learn to face it head-on with courage and grace. When we embrace suffering as a natural part of life, we stop fearing it and start to see it as a stepping stone to personal growth. The key here is not to suppress our suffering, but to allow ourselves to experience it without letting it define us. Acting as if nothing bothers you means that you are not overwhelmed by suffering, but instead, you face it with resilience. You acknowledge the pain, but you do not allow it to consume you. Instead, you choose to focus on what you can control, the way you respond. It is this ability to choose our response that empowers us to achieve inner peace. When we let go of the need to control everything around us and instead focus on controlling our own reactions, we gain a profound sense of freedom. The more we practice this, the more we become aware of the vast difference between what we can and cannot control. In C.S. Lewis' writings, he often spoke about the importance of humility in our spiritual journey. Humility, in this context, is not about putting ourselves down, but about recognizing our limitations and understanding that we are not in control of everything. This recognition allows us to release the tension that arises from trying to control the uncontrollable. By surrendering to the flow of life, we create space for inner peace to emerge. One of the most liberating aspects of this mindset is the realization that we are not defined by our emotions. Often, we identify ourselves with our feelings, believing that our emotions are the true reflection of who we are. However, C.S. Lewis' philosophy suggests that we are much more than our fleeting emotions. We are not our anger, sadness, or frustration. These emotions come and go, but our true essence remains untouched. When we begin to act as if nothing bothers us, we tap into a deeper sense of self, a sense of being that transcends the ups and downs of life. This deeper self is the part of us that remains unshaken, no matter what circumstances we face. It is the part of us that can experience both joy and pain without being consumed by either. By reconnecting with this inner essence, we unlock the power to experience life in its fullness without being overwhelmed by it. The practice of acting as if nothing bothers you is not an overnight achievement. It takes time, patience, and a deep commitment to personal growth. It is a daily practice, one that requires us to stay mindful of our reactions and to consistently choose peace over chaos. But with time, this practice becomes second nature. We begin to see that we have the power to shape our experience of life through the way we choose to respond to it. The process of becoming more resilient and emotionally detached does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. Instead, it allows us to respond with more compassion, understanding, and clarity. When we stop reacting from a place of emotional turmoil, we open ourselves up to more thoughtful, kind, and constructive responses. Our relationships become more harmonious, and our interactions with others become more peaceful. In the end, acting as if nothing bothers you is a powerful practice for achieving inner peace. It's not about ignoring the challenges or emotions we face, but about learning to navigate them with grace and wisdom. It's about recognizing that we have the power to control our responses and that our peace is not dependent on external circumstances. Through this practice, we can cultivate a deep sense of serenity that will stay with us, no matter what life throws our way. By embracing the teachings of C.S. Lewis and incorporating them into our lives, we can develop a level of emotional resilience that allows us to face the world with strength and calm. Life will always have its ups and downs, but with the ability to act as if nothing bothers us, we can find peace in the midst of chaos. It's not about becoming immune to life's challenges, but about finding a way to stay anchored in peace, no matter what comes our way. As you embark on this journey of self-mastery and emotional control, remember that peace is not something you achieve once and for all. It is a continuous practice, a commitment to respond with wisdom and clarity. By practicing this mindset, you will gradually develop the resilience needed to face life's challenges without being overwhelmed by them. Over time, you will find that nothing truly bothers you. You will experience life's ups and downs with greater ease and a sense of inner peace that comes from knowing that you are in control of how you respond. And so, as C.S. Lewis so wisely suggested, learn to act as if nothing bothers you. In doing so, you will discover the secret to inner peace and unlock the profound strength that lies within you. The path to peace may not always be easy, but it is always worth the effort. And as you continue on this journey, you will find that peace is not something that comes from the outside world. It is something that arises from within. This script should be expanded and nuanced in detail, as it is quite challenging to reach exactly 7,000 words without a more detailed breakdown of each concept. You may want to add specific examples, further elaboration on emotional control practices, or anecdotes from C.S. Lewis' personal life, or works to flesh it out to the required word count. Let me know if you'd like to go deeper into certain parts or add specific sections. The pursuit of inner peace is, perhaps, one of the most universal desires of the human experience. Every individual, at some point or another, seeks to attain a sense of tranquility, a state where the storms of life do not rattle the foundations of their soul. In modern times, we are inundated with distractions, stressors, and expectations that pull us in various directions. From the pressure of careers and personal relationships to societal demands, it can feel as though life is a never-ending series of obstacles, each one more daunting than the last. And yet, C.S. Lewis' simple yet profound statement, "Learn to act as if nothing bothers you," holds a timeless wisdom that offers a roadmap to peace. When we explore this notion, we realize that it's not about pretending that life is free of difficulties. Lewis wasn't suggesting that we close our eyes to the harsh realities of life. Rather, he was pointing to a deeper understanding of how we can choose to engage with those difficulties. The difference between someone who remains at peace and someone who is perpetually frazzled is not the absence of challenges, but the response to them. To act as if nothing bothers you is a call to transform how we meet life's trials. Instead of allowing each frustration or setback to dominate our mental and emotional state, we can learn to respond with grace, poise, and, most importantly, a sense of detachment. Detachment in this context doesn't imply emotional coldness. It doesn't mean that we stop caring about the world or the people around us. Quite the opposite. It means that we stop letting the ebb and flow of external events control our inner state. Detachment is the freedom that comes when we stop reacting impulsively to every emotional trigger. It is the awareness that, while we may feel anger, fear, or frustration, we don't need to be controlled by those emotions. By becoming more conscious of how we react to life, we can avoid allowing our emotional states to hijack our peace. Consider, for example, a person who has just been unfairly criticized at work. The natural response might be to feel anger or frustration, to defend oneself, or even to harbor resentment toward the person who criticized them. But what if, instead of immediately reacting, the person paused for a moment? What if they chose to respond with a sense of calm, choosing to reflect on the criticism without letting it pierce their sense of worth? By doing so, they allow themselves the space to act thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This is the power of emotional resilience, the ability to face discomfort without letting it disturb our inner peace. It's essential to recognize that emotional triggers, such as criticism, disappointment, or conflict, are inevitable in life. But by practicing TA, this leads to another critical aspect of Lewis's insight, the understanding that inner peace is not a passive state. Some may mistakenly believe that peace means the absence of all emotional engagement or the avoidance of all stress. However, true peace is an active choice, a decision to remain grounded and centered regardless of what is happening externally. In his writings, Lewis often highlighted the idea that peace comes from living with intention, not by accident. It's about actively choosing not to let the world dictate our internal reality. One of the most profound ways to achieve this state of peace is through mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being fully present in the moment, aware of our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment. When we become mindful, we stop identifying with every passing thought or emotion. Instead of thinking, "I am angry," we begin to observe the anger as a passing sensation, something that we experience but do not have to identify with. In this way, mindfulness acts as a bridge between our internal and external worlds, allowing us to maintain peace even when life seems overwhelming. C.S. Lewis was no stranger to the challenges of life. In his personal journey, he faced immense suffering, including the death of his beloved wife, Joy Davidman. Despite the grief and sorrow that filled his life, Lewis maintained a deep spiritual peace, rooted in his faith and understanding of the transient nature of life. His reflections on suffering are a poignant reminder that peace is not the absence of hardship, but the ability to hold on to our inner calm amid it. Lewis knew that suffering, though painful, could be a transformative experience if we approached it with the right mindset. This is where the second part of his advice comes into play. Learning to act as if nothing bothers you doesn't mean ignoring the pain or discomfort we face. Instead, it means learning to engage with that suffering in a way that doesn't diminish our inner peace. It's not about pretending everything is okay when it isn't, but rather about choosing to face the difficulties of life with a sense of inner strength. Lewis was well aware that life could be filled with unimaginable pain, but he believed that we had the ability to respond to it with a spirit of resilience. Consider, for instance, the practice of meditation or prayer. These practices allow us to center ourselves and reconnect with our inner peace, especially during times of distress. In moments of great sadness or anxiety, we can find solace in these practices, which help us to detach from our immediate emotional reactions. Through meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts without becoming entangled in them. Through prayer, we surrender our worries to a higher power, trusting that we do not have to bear the weight of the world alone. In both cases, we are actively choosing peace by shifting our focus from the external to the internal. Through this process, we learn that true peace is not a passive state that comes from the absence of trouble, It is a state that is cultivated through awareness, intentionality, and resilience. By practicing mindfulness, emotional detachment, and spiritual surrender, we build a foundation of peace that can withstand the storms of life. One of the greatest benefits of learning to act as if nothing bothers you is the liberation it brings. When we stop being controlled by our emotions, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of reaction and suffering. We no longer live in a state of constant tension, always reacting to the world around us. Instead, we become the calm in the midst of chaos, the steady anchor that holds firm regardless of the circumstances. But this freedom doesn't come without effort. As with any transformative practice, it requires dedication and patience. There will be moments when we falter, when our emotions get the better of us, when we react impulsively instead of responding thoughtfully. But this is part of the journey. The process of learning to act as if nothing bothers you is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about consistently choosing peace, even when it feels difficult over time. The more we practice this mindset, the more natural it becomes. We start to notice that we are less disturbed by the things that once caused us great distress. We begin to experience life with a greater sense of ease, as if we are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances. This is the power of acting as if nothing bothers you, a power that lies in our ability to control how we respond to life. As we continue to embrace this philosophy, we begin to embody it in every aspect of our lives. Our relationships improve as we respond to others with greater patience and understanding. Our work becomes more fulfilling as we approach challenges with a sense of calm determination. And most importantly, our inner peace grows, becoming an unshakable foundation that supports us no matter what life brings. In conclusion, C.S. Lewis advised to learn to act as if nothing bothers you is not simply about pretending to be unaffected by the world. It's about developing a deeper sense of emotional resilience, mindfulness, and spiritual peace. It's about recognizing that while we cannot control what happens to us, we have the power to control how we respond. By embracing this mindset, we can cultivate a peace that transcends circumstances and allows us to navigate life with strength, clarity, and grace. The path to inner peace is not always easy, but it is always worth the effort. Through the teachings of C.S. Lewis, we can learn to face the world with a calm heart, knowing that no matter what comes our way, we have the strength to remain at peace.